Well, what is love? Well, it's pretty wonderful. It's full of joy. It's absolute bliss. It's something you get a glimpse of when you fall in love with someone. In this world of good and evil, change and uncertainty and scarcity, it's transitory. And we don't want that because we value it greatly. We imagine it and value it when we don't have it, and when we do have it, we value it greatly, and when we lose it, we are so distressed. It is the epitome of the fullness of life, and we want it everlasting. It's as simple as that. This is a tremendous ego thing, of course, but we may in kindness and sympathy want it for others too. We would like everyone to experience the fullness of life that we glimpse when we fall in love. We become benevolence itself, and the whole of creation sings to us. And the Jesus story is that I am come that you might have life, and have it more abundantly. Life eternal, which, according to John 17, the Jesus story tells us, is to know God. To know him is life eternal. Perhaps that means it's the foundation on which we can move towards life eternal. Or perhaps the very thought of him is life eternal, and all you have to do is, if you like, train your purpose and your mind, who you are, to the continual valuing of knowing him and loving him. You know, God is love. He is our understanding of what love is, and goodness and blessing and everything conceivably good and for always. The personification of what we truly value. Falling in love permanently. What else can we imagine all blessedness to be? How do we move towards this? Oh, be aware of whatsoever is good and lovely. Think on these things. Let the gratitude well up in you. Encourage it by speaking out the thanks, singing the thanks, singing the joy of heaven. When you're in love, you muse constantly on the sheer presence of the one you love. Even when they're physically not with you, the sheer thought of them overwhelms you with joy. And quite simply, it would be very nice to be eternally in such a place, in such a state of being. This is to know God, the only true God, your God, everlasting joy, hope, peace, loveliness, loving kindness, power and provision, wisdom and understanding, goodness, overwhelming, loving goodness, filling your whole being, your whole purpose, all, always. Love you, Dad. Was that a non-religious or secular concert yesterday? The conductor was a very young man, tall, slim, full of dynamism, totally devoted to this fabulous piece of music. His chief musician there, visiting young, pretty woman, played, pretty girl, played beautifully. When she caught his eye each time during her playing, she was just full of joy and love. She was giving to him all that she could. She was playing as wonderfully as she could and contributing to his concert, his orchestra, his performance. She was in love, you see. It's the one loving that's in heaven, not necessarily the one loved. You are loved by your heavenly dad, but you're not in heaven. You're here on earth. You need to be in heaven. How do you be in heaven? Oh, you have to love him. How do you love him? Oh, well, you have to get to know him. This is life eternal, to know thee, the only true God. And Jesus, the way to do that. How do I do that? Whatsoever is good and lovely, think on these things. You will come to know goodness. It will be your very being. You will find you're in the kingdom of heaven. For the kingdom of heaven is within you. You can be there at any time, even at this precise moment, should you so choose. If you find that difficult, then review constantly whatever's good and lovely in your life, and you will quickly find that your estate is in heaven. Remember, it's the one loving that is in joy. You can be loved by God, but not know it, or not feel it, or not value it. You are not on a high. But when you love someone, you are. How absurd not to love that which is most perfect for you. Your understanding of God, the one that personifies everything that you truly value. How could you not love what you value? That would be absurd. When you realize this is your dad, your heavenly dad, or your heavenly mum, divine mother, or dearest friend, friend eternal. When you realize this, who else could you put first? Would be absurd. And you are swept up in a joy and a peace that is immeasurable, infinite, and eternal. It's called life eternal. That's the scriptural sort of tag for it. Life eternal. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father, your dad, but by me, by this way. What way? He's totally focused on God, that which is good and lovely, in his understanding. He is the way. You must do the same. There is no other. There is no other. You are Jesus. I've called you friend. I've not called you servant or slave. Everything I've known of my dad, I've told you. I've been sent. He sent me to tell you. He, the most wonderful, eternal of all beings, loves you. And if you want to know his name is Abba, Dad. Your loving Dad, your heavenly Dad, your eternal Dad. Or perhaps that doesn't speak to you. Perhaps it's Divine Mother, tenderness and care, loving kindness. And that's who I am. Or perhaps you've gone further, as Jesus also indicates. Not simply Dad, not simply wisdom, Divine Mother, embracing you, loving and caring for you, but dearest friend, for I have told you everything that is of value that my Father has told me. I have given you. I have not held anything back. I treat you as an equal. You are my friend. I'm not lording it over you. I've called you friend. We are eternal friends. I am the personification of what you truly value. I am you always, and with you always, your dearest friend. Bless you. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. You see, you can be attached to someone in this world, but it's a world of change. It's a world of good and evil. Change is not always for the good. In terms of this world, it switches from good to evil to good to evil, so that you can constantly get the contrast, come to know the good, come to know God, and reject or avoid the evil. For who wants death? Nobody. Not that sort of death. So you're not afraid to pass from this world. People around you may fear death because they don't know God. But you know the goodness of God. So you have no fear of death. It's simply the pathway to full awareness of Him, His loving kindness, your dearest friend, always. And the fullness of heaven, the fullness of all those that have passed from this world and many others into the kingdom of God, heaven, part of this incalculably vast heavenly host, His family, that all love each other and their heavenly Dad. Thank you, Dad.